Hello, friends. Today, we dive into the haunting world of Manchester by the Sea, a film I urge you to watch until the very last frame. Lee Chandler, burdened by the unbearable guilt of his children's deaths, cannot find forgiveness within himself. He toils as a plumber, his days a relentless cycle of fixing, cleaning, and shoveling snow, as if chained to his routine. Each night, he returns to his cramped basement apartment, surrendering to sleep in front of the flickering TV. On weekends, he seeks solace in a bar, blending into the crowd of strangers. One day, Lee receives word that his brother has suffered a heart attack and rushes to Manchester, only to arrive too late. At the hospital, family friend George greets him and offers to help with the funeral arrangements. When Lee sees his brother's body, he struggles to keep his composure, saying nothing as he gently kisses his brother goodbye. Memories flood back, watching over his nephew Patrick, the three of them out on the water, fishing together. Back then, Patrick was just a little boy, and Lee was a joyful father of three, spinning thrilling tales about sharks as they cast their lines. At hockey practice, Patrick immediately spots Uncle Lee, whose rare presence in town signals that something is wrong. The coach wonders aloud if it is really Lee Chandler, but the rumors swirling around him prove untrue. Lee asks Patrick if he wants to see his father. When Patrick hesitantly asks what his father looks like now, Lee answers bluntly, "He looks like a dead man." Unable to face reality, Patrick leaves the room. That evening, Patrick gathers friends at his house to share memories of Joe and remember what kind of man he was. Meanwhile, Lee sits alone in the dining room, isolated in his grief. Patrick asks Lee if his girlfriend, Sylvia, can stay over, insisting that his father always allowed it and promising that, if questioned, she would sleep in a separate room. Lee silently agrees. The next day, Lee meets with the family lawyer and discovers that his brother has named him as Patrick's guardian, requesting that Lee move to Manchester and providing funds for the first month until he finds work. Lee is taken aback that his brother never mentioned this plan. He admits he is not ready, yet he also does not want Patrick's mother to take over. The lawyer reassures him, acknowledging Lee's struggles and reminding him of his right to refuse guardianship. Lee remembers the night his world unraveled. After a lively party with friends, he stumbled out, already drunk, to buy more alcohol. The children's room was upstairs, his own bedroom below. He climbed the stairs and lit the fireplace, hoping to chase away the chill. Foggy with drink, he left for the store, a nagging worry about the fireplace door trailing behind him. He brushed it off, convinced nothing would go wrong. As he walked home, the wail of a fire truck pierced the night. Rounding the corner, he saw flames devouring his house, and neighbors gathered in shock. His wife's screams cut through the chaos. The firefighters pulled only his wife from the blaze, the children were lost to the fire. Randy's cries echoed, cursing Lee as her children perished inside. Frozen in shock, Lee stood with the bag still in his grip. At the police station, he confessed every detail, not hiding from his own recklessness. The detectives listened, then told him to leave, explaining that people do not go to jail for tragedies like this. Confused and hollow, Lee could not grasp their words. As he left, desperation overtook him. He seized an officer's gun and tried to end his own life. His father, witnessing the scene, collapsed from a heart attack and died soon after. After recovering, Lee bids his lawyer farewell and steps outside. He tells Patrick about his new role as his guardian and suggests they both move to Boston. Patrick refuses, insisting his life is rooted here, with friends, hockey, and his band, and suggests Lee should stay in Manchester instead. Patrick is determined to keep his father's boat, planning to repair and rent it rather than sell. At the funeral home, Lee learns that the ground is too frozen to bury Joe, so his body will be kept until spring. This means Lee must remain in Manchester for several more months. Patrick, frustrated by the delay, voices his anger, but Lee gently reminds him that it is only Joe's body, not his spirit, and promises Joe will rest beside his parents, just as he always wanted. Lee took Patrick to Sandy's garage for band practice. Patrick, secretly infatuated with Sandy, knew her mother would never allow anything to come of it. That night, Lee's ex-wife called, asking to attend the funeral with her new family. Lee agreed. Then Randy called to announce her pregnancy. Stunned, Lee abruptly ended the call. Later, Patrick begged Lee to invite Sylvia over, but Lee refused. That night, Patrick, searching for food, opened the fridge to find meat tumbling out. Panic seized him, and he broke down in tears, suddenly struck by the absence of his father, cold and unreachable. Lee held him close, staying by his side until sleep finally came. The next day, Lee returned home to gather his belongings. He took cherished photos of his children and placed them by his bed at Joe's house. After another band rehearsal, Patrick urged Lee to charm Sandy's mother in hopes of a favor. Lee, out of practice with women, failed to catch her interest. Their conversation quickly faded, and she left to tend to her children. Frustrated, Patrick lashed out at Lee for not winning over even one woman. At dinner, Patrick revealed he had called his mother and set up a meeting. If things went well, Lee might finally hand over custody and start a new chapter. Dinner with Patrick's mother is tense and awkward. She fidgets, openly sharing that she quit drinking, remarried, and found faith. The next day, her new husband sends Patrick a long letter, insisting that if Patrick wants a relationship with his mother, he must go through him, and that she is not ready to reconnect. Hoping to distract Patrick, Lee suggests selling the house's guns to buy a new boat motor. Together, they repair the boat and set out on the lake with Patrick's friends. Lee leaves Patrick with Sandy and drives off, only to spot his ex-wife and her newborn in town. Randy invites Lee to dinner, then breaks down, apologizing for her harsh words and confessing her heart will always ache. She admits it pains her to see Lee so lost. Lee, hollowed out, tells her he has nothing left, that everything inside him burned away with his children, and leaves before she can say more. That night, Lee seeks solace at George's bar, but a scuffle breaks out, leaving him more lost than before. George brings him home, trying to help him sober up. Overwhelmed, Lee breaks down in Janie's arms, both of them feeling the weight of his struggle to belong in this city. When Patrick discovers old photos in Lee's room, he understands that Lee is haunted by guilt. That night, Lee dreams of his daughters, their voices pleading, "Daddy, can't you see we're on fire?" Jolted awake by a blaring fire alarm, Lee realizes he left the stove on while heating up food. Later, he tells Patrick he must go to Boston alone, assuring him that George and Janie will look after him. Lee promises to visit often and plans to rent a 2-bedroom apartment in Boston, a place where Patrick can always come and go as he pleases. Lee arranges for all the money to be sent to George, ensuring the boat and house are secured until Patrick turns 18. When Patrick asks why Lee cannot stay with him, Lee apologizes, admitting he cannot bear the responsibility. Patrick breaks down in tears, and the two embrace tightly. As their pain lingers, spring quietly arrives. They say their final goodbye to Joe. Lee and Patrick return to the water, casting their lines and sharing memories of days gone by. The gentle warmth of spring seems to thaw not just the ground, but Lee's heart as well. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the film recap, please leave a comment and support the channel.